Hi everybody, this is Kim from Earn Greater Profits, and this is the second video I'm making about hover cards, and this is the second option. So if you haven't watched the first option, go ahead and watch that one as well. This second option for a hover card in the platform, you can do this for either the website or the funnels. This one is using an HTML block rather than the individual blocks. And so in the other video, I talk about using just the image block, a header block, and a paragraph block, and how to put those together using CSS for your hover card. In this one, I'm going to show you how to use the HTML block to create your hover card. And so let's get started. This is the back end of we're creating a website rather than a funnel. So this is the back end of my page for building my website. And if you haven't watched the other video, I give quite a bit of information, but they've updated the website. And so for the purple columns, everything goes full width now. And it leaves no room in between for a gap. And so you've got to add that gap. We've added that gap in our CSS, but if you're using an old page, this may not work for you because our border is a column border, not a block border. And so your border may not show up in the right spot. So as of November 24th or 25th of 2023, you'll need to create a new page, and so that the new updates work. So we're creating this with the new updates. And so let me just show you what we've done, and then I'll create something for you so that you can follow along. Here's our custom CSS. It's going to be shown on the link below. I've got a Google Doc with the CSS that you can just copy and paste, but we'll kind of go through that and show you what everything, how most everything works. So we've got our card, CSS, our image card. We've got our hover text, and this is where the bulk of it is going to be shown. And then we also have our other styles for the hover. Thanks to Kevin Powell on YouTube for his hints about covering mobile styles as well as reduced motion styles. So there are some people that don't like all the motion that happens with hover effects, and if they prefer not to use that, then it's going to act as if it was on mobile and just reduce the amount of movement that goes on. And so I'll show you this later as far as how it looks on a mobile, because there's no hover, you're not hovering a mouse over mobile, the effect is going to be different, and so it's going to be more static. There will be a little bit of difference, but pretty much static. And so the mobile styles are really important so that you don't lose context over what your element is trying to do. There are a couple things that I want to mention. Your position is relative here, but it's absolute when we get to the image cards, to make sure that everything fits within the HTML block. And then in the previous video, you know that the height was not working for the individual blocks as far as being able to make the paragraph height 100. So we had to set it to 230 pixels because that's the height of the image I was using. But here we can use 100% height and it covers everything perfectly. The background color you can change that here. The very last one is how opaque you want it. One is completely opaque, so it's this color here. And then to make it a little bit see-through, we've used 0.85 and show you here the opacity at 0.85 so that mobile users can see the element or the image. And then this transition is really fun. It just brings up the image a little closer before it hovers the color over. I think that's all I want to talk about. Let's move on. So instead of adding an image block and then a title block and a paragraph block like we did in the last video, we're just going to use this custom HTML block. And you can find that just right here under elements, and then just this code block here. Okay, so that's where we got that, and I will show you the code that's in there. And so what we're doing is we've got our class, image card class, and then we've got, here's the link to the image we want to use, and we just get that by going into our images. And you can, I'll just create something else right here because we're going to do it anyway. 3-column row, and then if we add our image, you can get to it from here, and then choose the image you want to use, and then just hit the link and copy to clipboard. Or you can just go directly to hit the back button, go directly to your media folder, or open another tab to your media folder, and you can go there too. But as long as you just copy and paste it, then you can go into your HTML code and paste it right there. And then from here, you'll type in what you want your headline to be, your subheader, and then your text. And so everything is contained within this HTML block, and we don't use any other blocks in there. I do use this, however, because I did like the way that this sat. So you have your title of whatever your image is, or your subheader, subheader title, or whatever it is you're using your hover card for. But I'll show you also how it looks without this element. So the code here I've copied. It's also on the Google Sheet, the Google Doc that you can locate below. So just copy and paste that in, and that's a good starting point for you to be able to create these hover cards. So I'm just going to create this from scratch so that you can see how all of this works. And in fact, let me kind of just show you. You may be able to do it without, but here's the column, the pink column. There's nothing different. This is all default, and all your padding and margins are at 0 because they're taken care of in the CSS. We do a full border, and I have it at 2 pixels, but you can do whatever width you want. Just add the color of your border and then your 20 pixels of border radius. And again, you can put whatever radius that you want, and you can leave it square if you want. And then the class you want to use for the column is just card. And once you've got that saved, then you just add this block, custom HTML block, and copy and paste in this code. And then add your subheader block. If you watch the other video, it's the exact same thing. Everything is defaulted. Just change the color of your text. And then over here, you want a full border with the border radius at the bottom edge only. You can have this at 15 pixels or at 0. It doesn't matter unless things go a little haywire. You may need to adjust this. I've got my border width at 5 because it just adds the right amount of space between the words, and I like the way the space looks, but you can also just simply add padding inside there to make it look that way still. Let me change the color just to give you an idea of what that really looks like. So if you had a different border color, you'd have 5 pixels of space, but my border color is exactly the same because I don't want it any different, and so it works for me. Okay, so let's just go ahead and recreate this here. So I'm just going to add this element, and it's going to be my code, HTML code element, and then I'm just going to copy it off. You'll be copying off the doc sheet, but I'm just going to copy it off of here. Let me just copy and paste that in there. And then I'm going to add my element, my subheader element, and create that for you. And it's going to go below. Okay, and then my background color is going to be the purple. And then I'm going to change my text color to be the white. And then I'm going to add my border, change my border color. Then I'm going to add my border radius of 15, just on the bottom edge only. And then I'm going to take my purple column, and I'm going to delete all of this because you'll notice that there's space between all of this. We just need to get rid of all of this space. Okay. And then we've got our full border, purple. And then we've got our border radius of 20, bottom edge only. Now you notice that when I created this element, the radius is only 15, and I believe it's because the height of this element is different from the height of the column element, and so the radius is different. And so I didn't want any white space, so I just changed that to 15. Now on our column, we've got to go back here because it says bottom edge only, and we want all the edges. Okay, so we've got all of that. We've got some space right here that does not show up here, so we've got to figure out where that's coming from. Oh, and the problem is I haven't added our card class right there. And let's double check what card class we have for our, I got content, paragraph, and hover text, but might not need all of that. So let's do hover text first. Content, paragraph. Okay. Just got all of those. Let's see if we needed anything. No, no classes for that. Make sure I've got 0 on all of my other items. And let's just double check. Yeah, card is all I have. Okay, so we're going to save this. We'll just see how it looks in our that looks great. So we've got everything that we need on there and it looks good. It's a little bit off center simply because I don't have the other two columns set up, but that works just fine. Okay, now I'm going to show you just some how it looks different on the mobile. And so here in our preview mode, you can see that nothing looks right because the custom HTML doesn't show up on preview mode. So you've got to actually look at it. And also our margins, I've got the CSS fixed on the margins as well. And so we'll take a look at that, and we may need to adjust it just a little bit. But hang tight and I'll get my cell phone pulled up and show you what it looks like on the cell phone. Okay, so here's my cell phone and what it looks like. You can see that the left and right margins look good. We've got some space in between each element, which is fixed by CSS, even though you couldn't see it on the preview. That's taken care of. And then, of course, the one I just created right there. You'll notice that due to not being able to do mouse hovers on mobile, that I've got the background at 0.85 opacity so that you can see the image behind it. You can change the opacity to whatever you like that works for you. And you'll notice that when I touch it with my finger, that it goes to 100% opacity. So that would be close to what the hover is if somebody actually clicked it or, touched it with their finger, and then it becomes totally opaque. But if it was totally opaque like this, there wouldn't be any context, and so you do need that image behind it to show some of the context. Anyway, if you have any questions about the CSS or troubleshooting how I've done it for this particular example, then you're welcome to message me and I'll try to help you through it. If you have any questions about the CSS, you may want to watch the other video that I made for option number 1. I go more in depth about what the CSS does, the elements, and how to use it to make changes. Oh, I was going to do one last thing and show you how to get rid of the bottom subheader. And so give me a second to get back to our regular screen. All right, hopefully you can see my screen again. And let's just run through this real quick and I'll show you how to change up the CSS if you don't want this bottom subheader. So I'm just going to hit delete, hit save. Let's just reload this and I'll show you what happens with the CSS that we've got. And so what it does is it centers the image and then hovers directly over the image, which forces us to have some extra space here. And so I'll take care of that, but you'll just need to be consistent. So you just need to delete all of your elements on that line in order to make it work. So let's hit save and reload again, and then we'll adjust some CSS if we need to. Okay, so it looks like the only thing we need to adjust is the it's actually the HTML custom code for text. Oh, okay. So in here, the only thing we need to change is the image's border radius right here. So I've got, this is top, left, top, right, bottom, left, bottom, right. So I'm just going to make them consistent at 15 pixel radius. And let's go ahead and hit save. Reload our page. There we go. The only thing that is not perfect is this image happens to go out on the corner and show right there, but that's the image itself, and so your image may not have that problem. But if you do, one way that you might also want to take care of that is add a border radius to not just the hover effect, but also the image card image. That was not the right one. Let's copy that. Let's see if that works. I'll reload the page. That didn't work for mine, but there's, if you're better at CSS than I am, then that will be an easy fix for you. If not, you'll just deal with it, and maybe your image won't have stuff that close. This is a WebP image, and so it's got a transparent background. And so if you're using a JPEG, then you'll definitely want to have the radius set up on your images. And but again, maybe you don't want a radius at all, and you can just switch that to 0, and then switch your column back here to just 0 and be a square, and that's just fine too. So anyway, good luck with it, and again, if you have any problems and need some troubleshooting, message me and I will see if I can help you. Have a great day.